And speaking of when I first got into the co-op world, I quickly realized that cooperatives don't have to do what they're doing. They honestly, at the end of the day, they could just be putting your bill in your mailbox and calling it a day. Don't love that, right? But they could in theory. And so the reason that I think they go the extra mile and do these extra programs, whether it's these youth programs, whatever other initiatives they have, is that they're motivated to reinvest, right? The same people like you that are keeping your lights on are the same people you might go to church with, that you send your kids to school with, that you have play dates with, right? So they're invested in a different type of way at the end of the day, and they don't have to be, they choose to be.
Welcome to the Power Hour, the official podcast of Henry County REMC. Our cooperative proudly brings reliable, safe electricity to Henry and parts of Fayette, Rush, Hancock, Delaware, Madison, Randolph, and Wayne counties. We're more than just an electric co-op. We're a community-driven force, powered by the people we serve. People like you. It's 2026, and we are back with another season of the Power Hour, Henry County REMC's official podcast. Thank you so much for joining me today. And I have a very special guest who is joining us. I have on the line recording with me today for this interview, Karlee Gable from the Indiana Electric Cooperatives. And Karlee handles all of the youth programming at Indiana Electric Cooperatives. So when you hear about the Youth Tour to Washington, D.C. or Camp Kilowatt, these types of programs that Henry County REMC tells our members about, those are facilitated through Indiana Electric Cooperatives. So Karlee, thank you so much for joining me today for the podcast.
No problem, Andrea. It is one of my favorite things to get to talk about our youth programs. So it is really my pleasure.
To get us started, Karlee, can you just introduce yourself, tell us exactly what your role is with Indiana Electric Cooperatives, how long you've been there, just that sort of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. So my job at Indiana Electric Cooperatives as a youth and education specialist is to essentially support our 37 member co-ops in their community engagement and their statewide youth programming, kind of like Andrea, you just mentioned. I have only been in the co-op world for 2 years, and it has been wonderful getting to know the communities across the state. But really a great thing about what I get to do in my position is I get to see the full circle. So from a kindergartner submitting their art contest entry to the senior that's applying for the scholarship or for youth tour. I used to be a teacher before this, so getting to see that full outline of a kid growing up, going through these programs, possibly leaving their community is a huge win in what I do every day and what the co-ops make happen. So
very good. You know what? I've only been in the co-op world myself a few years, and we've been to some meetings. I've been in attendance where we've been to these communicator meetings, and I've seen you speak about the youth programs, and I am not surprised at all to learn that you were a teacher because you have incredible energy, and your passion for these youth programs and the kids just comes through. So that definitely lines up that you were a teacher. So
thanks, Andrea. Yeah,
absolutely. From your perspective, why do you think it's important for electric co-ops to invest in these youth programs instead of just focusing on delivering the electricity?
So I get asked this question all the time, and I always say that it's kind of corny lie, but it's so true that reliability keeps your lights on in your house today, right? But these programs that co-ops do and the youth programs will keep the communities going for 40 plus years. So it's kind of that longevity of peace, right? And speaking of when I first got into the co-op world, I quickly realized that cooperatives don't have to do what they're doing. They honestly, at the end of the day, they could just be putting your bill in your mailbox and calling it a day. Don't love that, right? But they could in theory. And so the reason that I think they go the extra mile and do these extra programs, whether it's these youth programs, whatever other initiatives they have, is that they're motivated to reinvest, right? the same people like you that are keeping your lights on are the same people you might go to church with, that you send your kids to school with, that you have play dates with, right? So they're invested in a different type of way at the end of the day, and they don't have to be, they choose to be.
Absolutely. I think that's spot on. I know, we live here, we play here, we don't just work here. We are invested in our community. And that's one thing I love about the co-op model and the people that you find running the co-ops. There's a lot more going on than just delivering the power, as important as that is.
Absolutely.
So, well, let's talk about some of these programs and get more into the specifics, the details. And I guess we'll start with the Student Art Contest. What's the goal of this program and who participates?
So I want to start by saying this contest started in 1999, which is amazing. And we, over the years, have collected more than 100,000 entries to this art contest. It's absolutely crazy.
Wow, over 100,000?
Yes, from across the state. It is so impressive. And I still have cabinets and cabinets of art entries that we just couldn't let go of. Some from 1999. So I just can't get myself to get rid of them, to be quite honest with you. So really the goal of the art contest program is for, of course, early awareness of co-ops. We want them to start learning about who they get their power from. We want them to be exposed to the different programs that we have and that you all offer. But really at the end of the day, it's just to celebrate Indiana's creativity. It gives these kids, and a lot of them are often homeschooled, the opportunity to show their artwork to people from across the state, which is a wonderful thing. And they might not get the opportunity to do so until after high school sometimes. So being able to start that in kindergarten is such an important thing about this contest. It is open to K through 12 students, and the winning pieces are given a cash prize. They're always so thrilled that the cash prize is written, the check is in the student's name. A kindergartner receiving a check in their name is just like Christmas to them. So they do get a cash prize, and their artwork is showcased at our annual meeting, where we have nearly more than 400 people from across the state coming in. The first thing they see when they enter that meeting is all the students winning artwork lined up and framed and looking wonderful. It's a really cool program.
And how do people apply? Now, of course, they can go to our social media, our website, and figure it out. But how can you give us a little info on the process, what that looks like, and where they go?
Absolutely. So there's two options to apply now. So we just created an online entry form where actually if you can go online, scan your artwork or take a nice photo of it, and you can upload it digitally to be judged, or you can actually physically mail in your artwork. This contest, it draws in a lot of group entries. So a lot of times art teachers from schools, churches, art programs, after school programs, they will collect, 30 entries, sometimes way more. I get boxes of hundreds of entries from elementary schools. And they will submit them all at once into a group entry. But really mailing or the digital online form is all you have to do. And then really it's just sitting and waiting until March when we bring our judges in. And hopefully you get that phone call from us at the end of the month, at the end of March, and we announce that you're a winner.
Karlee, can you tell me, do you have a favorite entry from the last year or two from the student art contest, or something that stands out?
Absolutely. So there is a student who won. If you flip to your calendar this year, it is the November entry. It's called Autumn Hound. It is from a homeschooler up north. Her name is Presley Gray. She won the Artist of the Year this year. And I'm telling you why this is my favorite, not necessarily because of the art, although it is beautiful, but because of when I called her. So when I got to call her that she had won, not only won her grade, but Artist of the Year, she handled it amazingly, but she was almost so excited that she had to end up calling me back. And after she called me back, I was like, what's going on, Presley? Congrats. This is an amazing artwork piece. And she goes, I've entered this contest so many times and had never won. And now I finally won for the first time. And not only that, but I won Artist of the Year. So it just kind of goes to show that she almost didn't submit her entry this year, thinking that she might not win. And then all of a sudden it all cultivated and came together. So it just is a testament to, if you think that you shouldn't enter, you should. There is no reason you should not.
For sure. What a wonderful story. Thank you so much for sharing that. Let's move on and talk about Camp Kilowatt. Camp Kilowatt is always super exciting. So can we talk a little bit about camp and which students that is for and what they experience during the week? And there's been a change this year. So do we have an update in that regard?
It is a 3-day camp, a full-on camp experience for incoming 7th graders. So I always say that as rising 7th graders, right? So if you are a 6th grader or have a 6th grader and you're listening, that student is eligible to apply for camp this summer. So really the goal of Camp Kilowatt is to learn about power, generation, line safety, electric safety, but with a mix of that classic camp fun. Horseback riding, zip lining, cabins, having a counselor. And really, like all of our programs, it's different than your classic, 5th grade field trip to a camp, because you're meeting students from across the state, right? We have students drive from all the way down south from Clark County to all the way north from Newton. So instead of just having your local community with you, you're getting to meet kids from everywhere, all over the place, which is such a great part of the camp experience. I will say there's always a few classic favorites at camp every year. So oftentimes the boys, I find, love the lake time, canoeing, kayaking, swimming. They love the live wire demonstration. And the girls often just, all they write on their survey of their favorite part is cabins, which I think is so funny. But until last year, I realized why. I walked into a cabin and the girls had the lights off. They had brought their own party lights and were having a full-on dance party, like slumber party style. So I was like, okay, that's why cabins are their favorite, and horseback riding. So there's so many parts you could pick out about Camp Kilowatt that are just a blast. But I think at the end of the day, it's just them getting to be around different people and kind of get taken out of their regular routine for 3 days and get to go on this adventure.
So camp has historically been held at Camp Tecumseh, and there was some conflict or some issue that arose this year. So some changes have been made. Can you tell us what to expect with Camp Kilowatt, location, and that sort of thing?
Due to some construction that Camp Tecumseh is having, we are just going to move it right down south in Nashville, Indiana, to Happy Hollows Children's Camp. Same classic camp experience. They have the rock wall, they have the canoeing, the horseback riding. We'll still be staying in cabins, just moving locations this year. And I'm excited about it. I'm hoping that it can attract some people and some students who couldn't drive up north in previous years. We're planning to go right back to the northern camp in Camp Tecumseh next year. But it's really exciting to have this different experience and see what it brings. Maybe we'll continue offering it in some sort of way.
Absolutely. Well, and Nashville's a gorgeous part of the state, a beautiful area. So
absolutely.
Seems exciting to me. Let's move on and talk about the youth tour to Washington, D.C., which I think is just an incredible once-in-a-lifetime experience. Tell us about youth tour and what makes that program so special.
Youth Tour is a week-long trip for high school juniors. And it really, I think what makes it special, before I get into the nitty-gritty, is oftentimes this is the first trip that students have without their parents, with students from across their state, similar to Camp Kilowatt, with students that they have never met before, right? It's almost like you're kind of being thrown into a college orientation of sorts before you're even graduated. You're meeting kids that you never would have met, and you're traveling to some places that you have never been, right? Pretty similar to when you pack it up for college, and it's a beautiful, beautiful thing. It is a trip that combines government, history, while kind of integrating how co-ops in rural America were built, in what co-ops had to do and how they were involved within that. Our goal really is to have informed students that can go back home to their communities and build civic engagement. They feel empowered to advocate. They feel empowered to tell people about the history of our nation, and really have more confidence when they go off and meet people of different backgrounds when they go and travel on their own. It's a wonderful, wonderful trip. The co-ops generously, this is a fully paid for trip. The students pay for absolutely nothing. Really, it's just an experience their community wants to give them in hopes that they come back a better member of their community as well.
I've known a couple or talked with a couple of students who have attended the youth tour in the past, and you can tell it's just kind of a life-changing experience for them. It really is something they'll remember forever. I think it's an incredible opportunity. We want representation from Henry County on this trip, and our cooperative will send one student each year to youth tour. From those who apply, one student will be chosen to go on the trip, and all those expenses are paid. So I urge our members who are listening, if you know someone who is currently a junior in high school, getting ready to finish up that year of school, who might be interested in this type of amazing opportunity, please let them know about it so we can get them to apply.
I think students are hesitant. I think they are like, oh my gosh, 7 days with people I don't know, or I get a lot of, well, I've already been to DC on like my 8th grade trip or whatever, which is wonderful. But I'm telling you, the classroom and what you can do on a field trip can give you the history, right? It can give you those people that you're comfortable with, but it cannot give you the feeling that you get when you are with an array of students standing on the Flight 93 flight ground, or watching the changing of the guard at Arlington Cemetery. Your field trip is not going to pull you from the audience and say, hey, do you have a grandparent buried at Arlington Cemetery? Let's go find it. Those are the types of really special things that this trip can offer that a lot of times field trips, you just can't get it on. To no ill will, but we're in a special niche here, right? We get to really pull these students out of their comfort zone and give them something special. And we really try to every single year.
What a great program. There are some other programs that IEC offers for the youth. We're not in those application windows, but if you could just briefly acknowledge them, tell us just a little bit about them so folks keep that in mind. And then we'll wrap up from there.
Yeah, great. There are tons of programs. I could go on all day, but I'm going to just highlight 2 for now. Page Day is coming up actually here at the end of the month. We are going to head to the State House on January 27th. So essentially what Page Day is we bring high school students, again, from across all of Indiana to the Indiana State House, and they get to experience how legislation and utilities intersect. Last year, it was amazing. We got every single student who attended a photo and a conversation with one of their legislators, which is just so special that you get that one-on-one time with who is representing your community. You could ask them questions. You get to engage with them. You get to engage with the staffers at the State House. And, our government relations team at Indiana Electric Cooperatives is really who heads this program and helps me with those connections to legislators. And our staff, those GR guys, they greet these students like professionals, because many of these students that apply are looking to get into politics. They're looking to get that experience in advocacy, and they really treat them as such. Same with the legislators, every time we come, they love having high school students and hearing from high school students. The impact that high schoolers have that I think sometimes they doubt is really showcased within this program. All they have to do is drive to Indianapolis, meet us for the day. We'll give them lunch. We'll give them the tour, and we'll set up the connections. They just need to enjoy it and be ready to learn. And every year it's an amazing thing.
Awesome.
I also am going to highlight the Youth Power and Hope Awards. Every fall, we get to award middle schoolers who are essentially doing service within their community. That can look a ton of different ways, right? You might be a Boy Scout doing service projects. You might volunteer at your local soup kitchen. One year we had a boy who built birthday boxes for shelters for people who he didn't feel like they really got their birthdays celebrated. Whatever the middle schooler's service story is, we want to celebrate it. And we will honor them with a $500 check. And we will also give them an award at our annual meeting in front of our 300 attendees. Plus, you get a free stay in a very nice hotel in downtown Indianapolis. It's super humbling because oftentimes the students who win this award really could care less about the money or anything. It's that the fact that they're being acknowledged for all the work they put in. The kids who win the Youth Power and Hope Award oftentimes they didn't just do one volunteer activity, right? They've been working all year within their community on tons of different little projects that now have cultivated into such a good impact, such a great impact for their different aspects or clubs or organizations. These kids are sixth graders sometimes, or the way that they're going out of their way to do things that adults don't even have the time or connections to do is really impressive.
Kids are amazing. It gives you hope for the future, I think, when you get the opportunity to spend time with some of the young people.
I just posted the other day about how if you are worried about the future generation, if you've ever said that, don't be. Come to one of our youth programs, meet the kids, go on youth tour, send your students on to camp, and you will not be worried any longer. These kids are amazing. They're motivated. They're ready to get out and serve their communities. You just got to give them the opportunity. And here it is. Henry County is giving you some awesome opportunities to do that.
Yes, we are. Well, Karlee, thank you so much for joining me for our podcast today. I really appreciate you taking time out of your schedule to talk with us about the great youth programs and sharing your passion and your energy. We appreciate all you do, all that the Indiana Electric Cooperatives does for us and for our state, for our community. So thanks so much.
Yeah, thank you. Those applications are closing soon. I look forward to seeing some from Henry. Thanks, Andrea.
Have a good day.
You too.
And now it's time for your REMC wrap-up. We had an awesome conversation today about the youth programs. If you want more information or have or know a child who wants to apply for one of these opportunities, visit hcremc.com, tap or click on the Community tab, and then Youth Programs. Along those same lines, Henry County REMC's annual scholarship program is open for applications. We encourage any eligible high school seniors in our service territory to apply. That deadline is coming up February 6th. Did you know that our cooperative is celebrating its 90th year? That's right. Henry County REMC has been providing safe, reliable electricity to our communities for 9 decades now. To celebrate this incredible milestone, we created a 90th anniversary 2026 calendar that is now available, and it is free to our members, thanks to our generous partners. The calendar features an amazing collection of photos from our archives. The photos go all the way back to the beginning. We would love it if you would stop by the office and pick one up. We are approaching our director election season. The director seats up for election are in Districts 4, 5, and 6. There will be a kickoff meeting on January 26th from 6 to 7 p.m. If you'd like to learn more about running for a seat on the Henry County REMC board, please drop in and see us that evening, Monday, January 26th. And that's your REMC wrap-up. Thank you for tuning in to the Power Hour and for being part of Henry County REMC, where we don't just provide power, we empower.